Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while. And today we're going to work on our React Native browser editor, which we started working on a while ago. I mean, it's been like 4 or 5 months. So just to give an intro to the show and the project, since it's been a long time and there's probably a lot of people that are new. In this stream, what I'm trying to do is work on a real project, and I don't rehearse beforehand, so there's going to be mistakes, but that's the point, is just to show you what it's really like to work on something, to make mistakes, and to work through those mistakes. So the format is, I will do 25 minutes where I code and I don't really look at the live chat very much, and then I'll take a 5-minute break. I'll look at the live chat and I'll answer questions, and usually do like maybe 2 sessions like that. Then at the end, I'll look at the live chat and try to answer as many questions as I can. So if you have questions, just be patient, I'll get to them. The recording of this live stream is available just a few minutes after the live stream ends. So if you have a question but you can't wait for the answer, then check out the recording, and I'll probably answer your question at some point during the stream. Feel free to ask questions. If you're a beginner, don't worry about asking questions about even just really basic stuff. That's totally fine. Try to keep the live chat positive. So I will, if there's any like harassment or negative stuff or anything like that, I'll just block you from the chat. So I think that's it in terms of introduction for the stream. But in terms of the project, what I'm trying to do is I want to get, for this demo, right, we're just using Create React App to make a little proof of concept so that we can edit React Native code in a browser and have it display right there in the browser. So very similar to what you would see on freeCodeCamp.org, where you have like the split screen and you can type in HTML and JavaScript and then have the result appear. That's what we want, but we want it to happen with React Native code. Okay. So I just happened to look over the stream. Someone says, can you say the start and end timing? The streams usually end up being like around an hour, sometimes a little bit more than an hour. So that's what I'm usually going for. And I see a ton of people saying hi. So hey everybody, thanks for watching. And I am going to get started now. So I'm going to bring up a Pomodoro timer on my other screen here. And I wanted to get started by upgrading packages, right? So this is the same project that we left off on months ago. I've done nothing to it, right? So I want the stream to be as realistic as possible. Sometimes this happens. You come back to an old project, and I'm coming back to this project after a long time, and I want to update the packages, right? For whatever reason, it won't run, so I did try to run it just a few minutes ago, and I'm not even going to mess with that error because I know that all my packages are at least a few months out of date. So I'm gonna go through how to do an upgrade, like a mass upgrade here. So I'm using yarn instead of npm. Okay, so that's just an alternative package manager for JavaScript packages, for npm packages. So we can do yarn upgrade, and then I'm going to give it the flag latest. Actually, let me do upgrade interactive. Latest. I believe that's the command. Let's see. Yep, that's it. Alright, so I'm going to make this bigger, and hopefully the font's big enough. I don't know that I could go much bigger and still display things on the screen. So this is what happens when you type in, when you do yarn upgrade interactive. It gives you a little display here that tells you what packages you're using that are out of date and how out of date it is, right? So it'll say like, this is where you're at, this is where you need to go, right? So, and it gives, and it looks like all of the stuff it's showing me up at the top here is red. Now there is more, right? So as I scroll down, it keeps showing me more. So you can see a lot of our stuff is out of date. Wow, a lot. We're almost all into the red here, right? Wow. I think it just keeps scrolling through. So we don't have an endless list of packages. It just keeps starting back at the beginning. So yeah, see, it just keeps scrolling. But let's start somewhere and see what we actually want to update. In reality, I really want to try to update everything and then see what happens. Okay. Since this is still like a work in progress, I'm okay with breaking it, right? We're using Git, so we can always just roll it right back. So I can just run, now that we've seen it, instead of going through and like picking one by one what I want. Let's see, better. I think I'm going to get out of this, so I'm going to Control C to get out of it, and then let's go with let's go with yarn upgrade, and I'm going to get rid of the interactive. I'm just going to do upgrade, and then I'm going to say latest. And this should do all the upgrading without giving us an option of what to upgrade. It's just going to upgrade everything to the latest. Okay, so this is going to take probably a minute or two, which is fine because it's going to give me a chance to check the live chat for a little bit. Now, I kind of expect that things aren't going to work when we do this because there's so many breaking changes, and that's okay. Now is the time to try to update. You don't want to keep your packages like so out of date all the time, right? Ideally, we would have been working on this and this whole time, the past 4 or 5 months. And when a package went out of date, we would have updated it. Okay, but that didn't happen. So we're gonna try this. We're gonna see what errors we get. And my plan is, if the errors are just so crazy that it's going to take forever, then we will just start a new project and basically copy and paste what we need to over, since we didn't get that far into this project, right? Wow, that was fast. I expected that to take longer. but that seemed to be kind of it worked. Wow. Okay. And our package JSON should be updated. So let's check some of these dependencies. Like, all right, so our React dependency. Yeah. Wow. That is. Is that the latest? Wow. Okay. All right. So that did work. So let's just try to run it. If this actually runs, I'm gonna be like really surprised. All right, so it didn't run. Okay. Interesting. Alright, well now we got an error. We know at least somewhere to start. Let's see. Just checking this out, the live chat out just for a second. Okay. Alright, so let's check this out in our components workspace. .js. I am using Visual Studio Code as my code editor. Workspace, and where are we at? Workspace.js. And we're getting an error on line 111. Oh, okay. So this is let's see, experiment creates TS config or JS config to remove this one. Oh, okay. So this is just a config issue. So let's see if it tells us. So the experimental decorators option. Do we have a config? I don't think I have a config for my linter right now. Babble should be. Yeah, Babble should be handling this. Okay. So what we've done in this project is we've pulled in a lot of code from another open source project, and we're trying to adapt that. So this is some of that code from that other project. They're using an experimental syntax, and so that's where we're getting this error from. So what I'm thinking now is, at first I thought, okay, maybe this is just a linting error, meaning like our linters check your code for errors, and if you're using experimental things, you have to tell your linter that, like, hey, I'm going to use this experimental stuff. I know it's going to look like it's broken, but it's not, right? But now I'm seeing, like, maybe, so not, it's saying parsing error, right? Maybe I'm not actually transpiling that. So if you want to use an experimental feature in JavaScript, you need to use a transpiler. So usually it's this tool called Babble, and what Babble does is it takes your experimental code and it transforms it into normal JavaScript that a browser can handle. So Um, if that's the issue, then we need to make sure that Babel can handle that. So I do have something in Babel for decorators, right? Which that's what I believe that's what we were using. Yeah. But for whatever reason, this is not working. So let's see. Let's look at, I guess the first thing to look at would be the project. I want to see how they set up Babel for the project that I got this code from. Might just be able to copy and paste from there, and this would work, right? So let's do that first. So I'm gonna bring over a browser window. Actually, you know, I think I have the project open. Yep, I do. There we go. Let's bring this browser window over. So this is the... No, that's not it. I had too many projects open. That's weird. Okay, I guess I'll have to search for it. Or I could just check the package JSON. Are we bringing it in? There we go. This is that's the person that is doing this. So you just search for this person on GitHub. There we go. GitHub knew what I wanted. Okay. So let's check out Babel. Alright, that's it. That's the same. So we got the same Babel config. Make this all bigger. Same Babel config, and let's see. Alright, somebody in the chat is saying something to just use. Okay, let's see. Let's try it. Let's try it out. Who is this? So Fred will. Let's try it out. So soon if I use it like this, it might work. You have legacy linter options in your VS Code settings. They are no longer being used. Prettier code formatter. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't want to remove them right now. I don't want to deal with that right now. Okay. Alright, so we change that. And save it. And it looks like did we get a new error? Is that it? I believe we did. Alright, cool. So shout out to Fred, because that seemed to at least get us around. Like our linter is still complaining, but at least we got past the error. I was afraid that we would have had like similar usage in a lot of other places, and it would have been a mess, but I guess we don't. So let's see what we have. Workspace line 18. Do not use import syntax to configure Webpack loaders. Import Webpack loaders. Alright. Well, let's check this out. And also, so it has been a while since we've imported this code, so it's probably worth checking out this workspace.js file in the repo that we just brought in. Yeah, let me. Let's see. Components. Workspace. In case this has been updated since the last time, yeah, it does not look like it's been updated. You can see it's June 5th, 2017, right? So definitely not updated. All right, and I lost track of where I put my Pomodoro timer that I had set. There it is. Alright, cool. In about 5 or 6 minutes, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to answer some questions. So just hang in there if you got any questions in the chat. Alright, so let's search for, I believe I did copy and paste the error. Yep. Oh, cool. It looks like it's just a linter thing. So interesting. Okay, so ESLint plugin syntax. So I guess I could just disable that for a line. How do I turn off ESLint? Alright, so I'm going to go to Stack Overflow. This seems to just be a linting thing. And so I don't remember how to disable ESLint for a line, so ESLint disable. Oh, cool. Sweet. So we should just be able to ESLint disable line and then put the name of what the rule that we want to disable. So let's try that out. Oops, where's my code? There we go. Alright, let's see if that does. Nice. Alright, cool. So that actually did work. So good to know. You can disable a single line in ESLint and just disable that particular rule. Import and body, reorder the top. Alright, that's easy. So let's go to our index.js, which it's kind of weird that I had that in there and it ever worked right. Alright, I might have to deal with this issue because it keeps popping up and annoying me. Alright, we're getting through the errors. Unexpected use of history, no restricted rules. Source utils. Hash string 962. That's weird. I would not have thought that would give this error, but I guess so. And alright, let's see if we just can disable this line as well. ESLint disable. I already forget what the what I just typed in. The other one was. What am I looking for? What was this? ESLint disable line. Disable line, no restricted. Oh. Nice. And did it take us back to that? Looks like that the little switch that we put in here and is still not working. So we're gonna take a little break and I'm gonna answer some questions, and then when we come back we're gonna go back to this decorator legacy isn't currently enabled. We're gonna look at this decorator issue. Alright, so I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top and go down through and try to answer some questions, as many as I can. And it looks like I may not have access to the questions at the top, so there's been a lot of activity in the chat. So if you ask your question like super early, like before the stream started, I may not see it. We got a question. It says, can I get an 8-digit salary after doing this course? Probably not. 8 digits is it's a lot. Alright, so Ankon says, I'm a beginner in React JS, want to learn, very enthusiastic about the course. Thanks, Ankon. And I just want to clarify, so this live stream is not exactly a course, right? So this is, it's not meant to be a tutorial where I'll take you through like from beginning to end and you'll learn concepts and things like that. This is a look into like a real project. It's a lot of troubleshooting, right? Like we have right now is, we're trying something that you would normally have to do, right? Like projects get out of date, you have to update packages. This is what happens when you update packages. When you wait too long, you try to update packages, you get errors. The errors are in code that I didn't write myself, right? This happens like really at, you come into a project, you inherit someone else's code, right? So the idea in the stream is to try to be as close as possible to a real developer experience, right? Because that way, there are things that you learn from just doing that you wouldn't necessarily learn from a course, and that's, I think, the value in this live stream is when things don't go right and there aren't instructions for how to fix it. Like, what do you do? So that's what we're doing here. So it's not exactly a course, but hopefully we'll all learn something as we code. Okay, it looks like there were some discussions and like some questions are getting answered like in the chat by other people. So I'm gonna kind of like scroll past that. Abhishek is asking about what's best, software or AI, so artificial intelligence. And I'm assuming for a degree. So what's best for a degree, software or artificial intelligence? I'm not really sure about that one. I don't know enough about it to know what a better degree would be. I mean, I do know if like you don't need a degree to do software work, but probably if you want to be on like the cutting edge of AI research, like in a university, they're probably going to want you to have a doctorate degree. I'm assuming. I don't know for sure. Of course, there are companies that are also on the cutting edge of AI research that you wouldn't maybe necessarily need to be a doctor, have a doctorate degree to work on it. Saad says, what programming language should I start with? New to programming, what should I start with? Really, you can start with anything. JavaScript is an easy one to start with because it can run in the browser. And you can, there's a lot of free resources for it. It's a nice one to learn. It can run client side and server side, but realistically, if you're just starting out, just to learn the programming concepts, you can start out with anything, and you're going to learn the same concepts, and then switch to whatever you need to. But if you want to go the route of like freeCodeCamp.org and with those lessons, then the first programming language you'll learn will be JavaScript. Alright, cool. So my 5-minute timer is up. I'm going to start a new Pomodoro session of 25 minutes, and we're going to get back to the code. I'll come back to the questions. Looks like there's a ton of questions, which is awesome. So, but I'll come back to those questions after this next coding session. Alright, so I'm going to copy and paste this part. So when I get errors like this, you probably can't see. You probably can't see the whole message here. So yeah, my face is blocking out the entire message. But basically, when I get an error message, I want to try to copy and paste the part that doesn't have reference to my project in particular, right? Because when I search for that, nobody's going to have that, right? So the name of the file, workspace.js, I don't want that, and I don't want the like the location of the error in terms of the line in my file, right? But if there's anything that seems generic, that's what I want to copy and paste. So I'm just seeing in a second what I've decided to copy and paste. So I'm gonna leave this linting thing up so I can keep referencing it, because I'm sure I'll forget the syntax again. All right, but what I've pasted is this decorators support for experimental syntax decorators legacy isn't currently enabled, right? And hey, there's a whole Medium article on it. That's interesting. I'm gonna open this. That is titled the exact name of the error that we got. So that's awesome. I don't know that I've ever had that happen before. So let's see what we need to do. Let's see how old this is first. Okay, so it's from this year. It's from May 4th, so that's relatively new. Alright, let's do this. So let me make this bigger so you can kind of see this, but this is great. I can't believe whoever wrote this. Who wrote this? Patrick. So shout out to Patrick for writing a Medium article all about this error. Alright, so we're going to install this new Babble plugin and try to use that instead of the other Babble plugin that we had. So it's possible, since so much time has elapsed, that the old Babble plugin, it just isn't supported anymore. Maybe that's why we're having some issues. So we're installing that, and now let's Babble plugin. I think we have a Babble RC, so let's use this one. So there are two different types of configuration files for Babel, so that's why there's two different here. So you can have a babel.config.js, and the syntax is a little different for each one. So, or you can have a .babelrc. So I believe we have a .babelrc. Yep, and we do. So in our plugins, I'm guessing I can just get rid of this transform decorators legacy, and alright, it doesn't like the difference in the quotation marks. So this? Incorrect type accepted. Oh, it thinks I'm trying to use TypeScript. Alright, and I believe it did say in that thing to restart. So let's try it. Oh no, we still getting the same error? Yep. Alright, let's see. So let me double check this. Decorators. Shoot. Alright, let's try. Let's try the Stack Overflow one. Looks like, is there no... Alright, so I don't think they actually selected an answer that worked, but this one has to have the most votes, which this seems like the same thing. The only other thing I can think of is maybe since we use Create React App, it's not picking up this babble RC file. So let's check that out. So Create React App is a great tool to start a React project, but it does limit you a little bit in stuff like this. So in like anything that has to do with like custom Webpack configs, which we're starting to get into, like Webpack stuff here. So or at least related to Webpack. So let's go, let's see, use, oops. So I'm just typing in use .babblerc with Create React App. So when I do any search, I usually try to say I just want stuff from the past year, because I don't want out of date stuff. There we go. Using custom. Let's see what this is. This is for a different project, but might have to use okay. I wasn't sure if we'd have to use this or not, but it looks like we might. Might have to use customize Create React App. Let me make sure I'm not already using it. Where's our package JSON? Yep. Alright, so let's do that. This is going to be fun. Okay, so if you need to modify your Create React App, like your Webpack config or your Babel stuff for Create React App, there's a plugin you can use called Customize Create React App. Well, actually, it's Customize CRA, right? So we're going to go to their GitHub page. so that we can see what we need to add. So it does use React App Rewired, okay, which from what I understand, React App Rewired was like the first way that came out that you could do stuff like this, but it's now customized create React App is kind of sorry, it's like built on top of that. So that's why we need both. So let's do this. So this potentially could cause problems with create React App projects, so only use it if you really need to use it. I've had success using it on projects. It hasn't like messed up anything before, so but just be aware that it can throw things off. Alright, so now that we have that in there, let me double check to make sure we don't need to do anything else. Usage, config overrides. Alright, so we do need a config overrides file, and actually it doesn't have it. I was hoping it would have something in there. So sorry, what's the name of this file? Config overrides.js. There we go. So let's make a config overrides.js file. And so we're going to make this just in the root of our project. Config overrides.js. And I'm going to copy and paste just to get us started. There we go. And a lot of this we don't need. Like, really, I want to add this decorator's legacy, and actually disabling ESLint is probably not a bad idea since we're getting all these ESLint errors, but this is just in Webpack. That's cool. Add an alias. I don't need that, and I don't need this. Alright, and so now we don't need these. And alright, let's see if that'll work. I'm gonna manually restart this. Decorator's legacy. It's still not working. Okay. not getting this. Alright, so we have it looks like we have everything that we've seen. Alright, let's go back. Let's get rid of that one. And this is babble plugins. Okay, we haven't looked at this one yet. This is just in general how you use Babel plugins with Create React App. So probably not a bad idea to look over this just to make sure that we did it right. All right. Use ESLint RC. No, use Babel RC. Is that one? Yeah. We do. We want to use our Babel RC. Okay. This might be it. So we're not going to pull this in directly. We want it to use Babel RC. Now it should actually look at our Babel RC file. Oh, and I need to change this. Alright, I can't believe I forgot this. Okay, so before Create React App actually starts, how did I not see this in the documentation? Like, is it not in here? That's kind of weird. Okay, anyway. So let's check our package JSON file here. So we want to run, instead of running when we run our scripts, instead of running it through React scripts, we want to run it through React App Rewired. And that was probably our issue. So stuff, this may have actually worked before the way we had it, and now it'll run through React App Rewired. So let's see. Force override. Babel RC is not defined. Use Babel RC is not defined. Yep. You are correct. Use Babel RC. Now it's going to use our new stuff. All right, we got a new error. Sweet. So let's go back to our code. Our new error is plugin preset files are not allowed to export objects, only functions. Whoa. This is actually a problem in our node modules. That's wild. That's pretty crazy because, like, it's a node module. Alright, let's look this up. And let's get rid of some windows while we're at it. Maybe, we're not using a new version of Babel? Alright, cool. Babel React. You could probably hear my kids in the background, so that's it. They're on their way to school. There's a question here. Isn't React Native browser just React.js? No, it's not. So what we're trying to do is say that you can type into a browser window, like an editor, an in-browser editor, React Native code, and then have that code actually run and display in the browser, right? In a little like window in the browser, right? So we need the code to be converted into something that the browser can understand, like on the fly in the browser. Okay, so it's not running React Native so that it can go in the browser, right? It's not just that. It's actually trying to convert the React Native code on the fly in the browser. The use case for this is being able to have online React Native tutorials, where someone doesn't have to go through everything necessary to run React Native on their local machine, and they can just go into the browser and type it in and type in actual React Native code and then see what the result would be, right? So you're making a thing kind of compiler to JavaScript? Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's like, it's going to be like an in-browser compiler of React Native to normal JavaScript. Okay. Sorry, I got kind of off track from the coding, but I think I needed to clarify that. Otherwise, what we're doing is not going to make that much sense. Okay, so it looks like Babel preset ES 2015. Okay, so this is I believe related to like a new way that Babel's doing its stuff. So like you see that it's this @ Babel, right? So this is the way we should be doing it, and instead we're doing it this older way. So we need to switch things up. So instead of, like for instance, instead of React, it should be @Babel React. You need to install the @Babel preset React. So that's what we need to do next. Right now my timer's up though, so I'm gonna answer some questions.
Okay, well you need to pull them out.
And
I don't know what is what.
Need to answer some questions, and then on our next live stream, this is where we'll go. So actually, if I have time, I might try to sort this out before the next live stream. But otherwise, then we'll kind of just pick up here with switching over our Babel stuff to use the latest. And it looks like the reason we didn't see this error before is because our create React app was just completely bypassing our Babel RC. So we had it in here, but this was never running. Right? Which, I mean, that makes sense. So anyway, let me go to the chat, and I'm going to scroll up to where I left off at. I'm going to try to get as many questions as I can in. So I may not be able to get to all the questions because I do have to start my normal job. So I'm a software engineer. And so if I don't get to your question, you can always put it in the comments to the video, and then I can try to answer it later on. Okay. All right, so we have a question. What is React? All right, so React is a JavaScript library for building apps. Yeah, so it gives you this. It helps mostly with state management, and it gives you an HTML-like syntax called JSX that lets you kind of mix together HTML, what looks like HTML with JavaScript, and create apps. So that's super high level, but basically, like, if you want to make web apps, then React helps you do that. Okay. Dragonstone Creation says the fan is noisy. Can you reduce speed? I'm sorry about that. You know what? Right now I'm set up in my basement, so I believe the heater was running. So apologies for that. I have plans to put up some walls around my work area and like soundproof it, but hasn't happened yet. So I'm hoping I can get that done soon. And then the noise won't be an issue. So I'm sure you can hear like the garage door shutting now, and you could hear my kids coming down. So not an ideal situation for live streaming, but if I waited for everything to be ideal, then I probably would never live stream. Okay. We had a question. Will you save the stream? Yeah, the stream does get recorded, and it's available to watch on the freeCodeCamp channel. And Dragonstone Creation says, if so many packages are outdated in a short time when building a huge project, won't it be a problem? Yeah, it's definitely a problem. So I actually yesterday at my job, I went through 2 of the apps that we're building, and I upgraded all of the packages. And I do that pretty regularly, because if you wait, like we've done here in this project, until you get so many things outdated, you can see there's a lot of errors that we're working through. So it's much easier to say, like, okay, I'm going to go through. And you could just set a time for your project if you really want to. Like, all right, once a month I'm going to check. Or, whatever amount of time you set, you can say I'm going to check the projects. If there are some packages that are like really like key packages that you're using, you might want to just say every time there's a new release, I'm going to read through the release notes, see what is happening. If there were less packages, we probably would have done that. We probably would have read through the release notes on GitHub and seen if there were any breaking changes, and then tried to fix those according to the instructions that the package maintainers set. So in this case, there was just too much. So I thought, hey, let's just go for it, see what happens. Also, this isn't like a critical application or anything like that, so we could afford to break it. Okay, but yeah, in a big app that's like actually in use, you'd want to stay on top of this and not let your stuff get out of date. Servant says, are you coding with Expo? Not for this particular project, but I do code with Expo pretty much every day. I like Expo. If you're not sure what Expo is, it's a set of tools, I guess, that help you build with React Native. React Native is a way to use React to build mobile apps, primarily mobile apps. You can build other stuff with it too, but the number one use case is Android and iOS. Anderson Silva says, I'm a software engineer at Google. That's awesome. I did interview with Google. This is probably a year ago, and I made it all the way to like when you get on campus and do like I think it's like 5 interviews on campus in a day, but I didn't make it past there. So maybe one day I'll interview with him again. We'll see, but that's cool. I did a video about it too, so if anybody's interested in what it's like to interview at Google, you can check it out. So I think it's on the freeCodeCamp channel. It's also on my channel, so if you like this stream and want to see more stuff, you can check out my YouTube channel. The link's in the description. That decorator error. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what node version I'm running on my machine right now, but I don't know that would matter. Would that matter for? Because we're trying to use it client side, it wouldn't necessarily matter. Server side, it definitely would. Luisi says Unix and diamonds are forever. Actually, that's pretty much true. Unix is everywhere. Cherry Vanilla asks what language this is. JavaScript. Nick Kunj says, can we add babble RC to normal React projects? Oh wow, I wish I would have seen that earlier, because that actually was part of our issue, is that you can't just add a babble RC to normal create React app projects, right? You have to do customize create React app. So good catch on that one. Charbel says, how will the web editor compile code? That's a great question. And so actually we're using service workers. So like the compile stuff happens here in our babble worker.js. So it basically, like, we're taking what happens like on your local machine when you So there's a package called React Native Web, which takes React Native and converts it into basically HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that a browser can use. But it does that right locally on your machine. So we're taking that and using it in a service worker so that it happens every time you type in something in your browser, right? So like it's really cool, but that's how we get it to work, is like in place of your local machine, we have a service worker running. Okay, Anderson Silva says, why are you using a dark theme GitHub? I like dark theme. So yeah, I have the dark theme GitHub theme. So it's I'm just using a Tamper Monkey script. It's, if you look up GitHub dark, I think you'll see like instructions for how to do a GitHub dark theme. I just prefer it, especially when I'm coding. Like I have the dark theme on my code editor, and to switch to GitHub, like it's just this flash of bright when you have the white background. So it's better to have, for me at least, I prefer to have as much stuff as I can on the dark mode. Easier on my eyes. Anderson Silva says, you don't like Linux? I like Linux. Oh man, and Fred came through with the syntax to disable ESLint disable next line. So thank you for that. I didn't see it in the comments, but that would have been helpful. I need to get back in the hang of live streaming, since it's been a while of like glancing back and forth at the comments. I'll get there. Looks like there's a lot of discussion about in the chat, so I'm scrolling through looking for questions. Augie says, hello Jesse, I'm from Indonesia. I love to watch while you code. Awesome, thanks for watching. Let's see, we have a question. Ronique, not sure how to pronounce that for sure, so apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. But anyway, it says, which platform is easier to deploy from, React Native or Expo? I have two mobile apps I want to build. I am familiar with React, and I have created a simple React Native app, but I'm unclear. I'm unclear which is better. I think Expo makes it easier to deploy, like in terms of actually deploying to the App Store, to deploy and update. So I would check out Expo. In general, when you're using React Native, I recommend always using Expo unless you have some reason, like something you need to do in your app that you can't do with Expo. And even then, you could always start with it and then eject. But there are so many, Expo handles so much for you that it just kind of makes it a nicer developer experience. So definitely recommend using that for React Native. Depa says, do you have a Telegram channel or group? I don't think we have a Telegram. I'm not 100% sure. Like, I definitely don't for the live stream. I don't know if FreeCodeCamp does. Does anybody know if FreeCodeCamp has a Telegram? It's possible that we do, and I just don't know about it. If I want to be an effective full-stack developer, should I take a cybersecurity course to be an effective full-stack developer? I don't think it's necessary to take a cybersecurity course to be full-stack. If that's what you're into and you want to like specialize in that, that's fine. It definitely wouldn't hurt you, but I wouldn't say it's necessary. Santu says, can you please use dark mode for browser? Dark mode for browser? I thought I was using dark mode in my browser. I'm not sure. Santu, could you elaborate on that question? Jamal asked, would getting a certificate be better than getting a degree because I'm in college and a little lost because of it? It depends on what you want to do, Jamal, really. If you want to do like web development, then you probably don't need a degree. You could get, and you don't need a certificate either. You just need a portfolio. You need some experience. But different aspects of like coding, it just depends. So like, depends on where you're at, what country you're in. Certain places or certain industries still prefer a degree. So you would definitely need to. I would need more information, let's say, to be able to tell for sure, right? Like, can you get a good job without a degree? Yeah, definitely. In some type of coding. But if there's something you really specifically want to do, then it may be more helpful to get a degree, maybe not. Thomas says, do y'all understand what he's coding? I'm new to coding and I have no clue. Thomas, don't worry about it. Like, feel free to ask any questions. We just jumped into this project, so it's definitely okay to be a little bit confused. Like, in reality, like, this is like, I'm a little bit lost, right? We're trying to work through bugs and everything, so that's totally understandable to be a little lost. All right, we're just like jumping right back into a project that we haven't, like, some of you have not seen it all before. I haven't looked at it in 4 months, so that's a legitimate feeling to have. Let's see. Just trying to scroll through and find actual questions. There's a lot of comments and stuff. Thomas says, not a question, but just wanted to say thanks for teaching me a lot of concepts that I know now. Your videos have been very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bhupendra says, is there any relation or similarity between React.js and React Native? Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the concepts are the same. So like the way you handle state is the same in React.js and React Native. Like the structure of the JSX syntax is the same. So honestly, there are React Native and React, in terms of how you develop things, like from the developer perspective of trying to build something with them, are very, very similar. So you're using components to build apps. The differences are mainly in what components you can use. Right, so in React, you can use what we call like DOM primitives, so divs, spans, p tags, h tags, stuff like that. You can't use that in React Native. So that's probably the biggest difference when you're developing. Right, so there are other tags that come with React Native that you would use in that place. But like, whether you start with React Native or if you start with React, switching from one to the other is not very difficult. Gavin says, have you used Ionic with React? What do you think of it? I've never used Ionic with React. I've used Ionic, but this was probably like, I don't know, 6 years ago. I used Ionic, so I thought it was really cool when I did use it. I probably wouldn't use it now. Ionic is a way to build mobile apps with JavaScript. So I probably wouldn't use Ionic with React. If I wanted to build a mobile app using React, I would just use React Native. So I don't know, unless there's some benefit to using Ionic with React that I don't know about, that's which way I would go. If I wanted to use some other JavaScript framework to build an app, then I probably would go with Ionic. Alright, I'm getting down towards the end of the chat. So let's see, I'm trying to find the questions here. Okay, here's one. Why most of the programmers are arrogant? I don't know. I don't know. Are programmers arrogant? Maybe. I don't really know. Maybe that's a psychology question. That's not my area. So I hope I don't come off as arrogant. If I do, I apologize. There's some. I saw a few questions about people saying, "I just joined the stream. What are we doing?" Check out the recording, and go back to the beginning, and then you'll get a good explanation of what's happening. The IT Thinker says, "Where are you reading the questions from?" I'm just reading them from the chat. So I'm just scrolling down through the chat log and reading the questions. Decoder says, "Yeah, I cannot find any of these questions in this chat." Yeah, maybe it was because I was way back at the beginning of the chat. Okay. Is it possible to convert Angular to React developer? Okay, so you mean like you're an Angular developer and you want to become a React developer? Yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. If the question is it possible to convert an Angular app to a React app, then that would be pretty difficult. You would have to like basically rewrite it. Okay, and now the question is, which is better, Angular or React? That it just entirely depends. It depends on what you're trying to build, what your team is good with, or what you're good with already. So that's a tough question to answer without any other information. Let's see. Abhishek says, I'm not able to run C++ in Windows 10. What should I do? I don't have any experience with trying to run C++ in Windows 10, so unfortunately I can't answer your question. Yeah, I don't know. The last time I did anything with C++, I was probably in 2009. Yeah. It's probably 2000 and no, it was before that. It was probably 2005. So it's been quite a while since I've done anything with C++. So sorry, I can't help with that. How many days to learn React? Oh, I don't know. It depends on how much you already know, how many hours per day you can dedicate to it. Jaeger says, why is common.js and import syntax in that file? Like both of them. To tell you the truth, I'm not entirely sure why they're both in there. I don't remember if I did that or if that was some code I copied and pasted in. I don't know. Trong says, could you teach us soft skills? I don't know about in the stream, but I guess I could talk about soft skills. Maybe not in a video. Maybe that would be like better for a video. Like on my channel, I do more like recorded video tutorials. Maybe that would be good. But it's hard to teach. Like I could talk about it, but teaching it would probably take like a lot of actual like practice and experience and stuff. Carlos says, I just want to say thank you for sharing your time and knowledge. Keep up the good work. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching. Abhishek says, can you talk about the stability of a job without a degree? Yeah, honestly, here's the way I feel about job stability, with or without a degree. It seems like, at least, so I'm coming from the United States. I live near Pittsburgh in the United States, so it may not, it's probably different in other places, but it seems to me like I personally don't count on stability in my job. So I'm always trying to be ready, like try to keep my resume, my LinkedIn updated, try to keep my skills updated, and because I don't count on always being able to work at the same place that I'm working. So you have companies, like if you're at a small companies go out of business or get bought out like all the time, right? So you're probably not going to have much job stability if you're at a startup or a small company. But even large companies, they change things, they restructure, they fire employees. Things change so frequently that I just think it's better to assume that no matter what, you're probably not going to have much job stability, right? So my assumption for myself is that I'll probably change jobs every few years. And so I just try to keep myself prepared for that. So just making sure that I keep track of like what is the most in demand, what are the most in demand skills right now, what should I be learning, like trying to go to conferences and talk to people, like in terms of networking and stuff. So that's how I feel. I don't know that having a degree would it like in the software engineering field. I don't know that having a degree would make you have more or less job stability. In other fields, like in general, just in life, having a degree probably would help you to get more jobs, because there's still a lot of jobs out there that they just want a degree no matter what, even if it doesn't make sense for you to have a degree. But if you want to stick with software engineering, once you get to the point where you have some job experience, the degree really doesn't matter that much for most software engineering jobs. Hopefully that answered your question. Danae says, what is best between an Android app or a single page app? That really kind of depends, like on what you're trying to do. A single page app would run in the browser, obviously. So like an Android app is going to be a mobile app for the phone. So it's I don't know that it's a question of what's best. In general, it would be like what is the goal? Like what is the app? What's it supposed to be doing? What's the goal? Visija says, what's the best place for finding a job online for Angular or React? This is the places that I like to go for finding a job online. So believe it or not, Twitter is a good place. If you like let people know on Twitter that you're looking. I've had a lot of good luck with people contacting me about jobs on Twitter. LinkedIn, there's a place, what is it called? ZipRecruiter. I like it because they show a lot of like salary information, which is good to know, like up front. And then Stack Overflow has a job site. So those are probably the places that I would recommend looking. But that's coming from somebody in the United States. If you're in different parts of the world, I don't know how helpful those places are. There might be other websites that are better. But that's where I would check. Amir says, React Native or Flutter? I haven't used Flutter, so I don't really think I could give a good comparison. I do really like React Native. I've heard good things about Flutter, but like I don't know enough about it, I think, to really do a good job of talking about why you would want to use it or not use it compared to React Native. JMO Vlogs says, what's your favorite coding language? I like JavaScript. I mean, it's what I code with most often. Not that I don't like other languages, but if I had to pick a favorite, I'd probably say JavaScript. Urdu Novels says, can we watch a recorded version of the session? Yep, the recording will be available probably just a few minutes after I end this one. Let's see. All right, Abhishek says, who gets more salary, a person with or without a degree? And this is from India. So to be honest with you, I don't know very much at all about the job market in India. So I don't know that I can answer that question. Um, so if there's anybody from India that has any experience with that, please, maybe throw an answer out here, or if you're watching the recording, maybe later on in the comments. Pat Sell says, "Great job. How can I become a good programmer? Can I do that by reading people's code?" Yeah, reading other people's code definitely helps give you more ideas about how to do things. But I would say more than just reading it is like actually working with it. So like if you see an open source project, like I think it's even more helpful, instead of just reading it, try to actually contribute to it. Then you really start to understand it, like how it works. And I think that will help you to become a better programmer, because you'll hopefully pick up on all the good ideas that other programmers are having and like start incorporating that into your project. I know like I worked on an open source project recently. I did some streams on it on my YouTube channel. It was the React Native async storage package, and that package was using TypeScript. And so I had to learn TypeScript to contribute. And now I've incorporated TypeScript into my other projects. So it's like I kind of absorbed some of that and just, it's made my code better by contributing to this other project. Let's see. I gotta make sure I keep track of time so I can work. All right, so we'll do a few more questions before I wrap this up. Let's see. Had a job as a junior dev for 8 months and left on good terms. I know front end with Vue.js. Would you learn back end to go full stack, or just look for another front end position? Honestly, like if I needed to find a job, I needed money, I would just look for a front end position and like try to learn as I go. If like I really wanted to go full stack and I didn't need a job right away, then yeah, maybe learn back end. But so it kind of depends on your situation. Can you talk about coding boot camp? Thank you. I have never done a coding boot camp, so I don't know that much about it. My wife did do a coding boot camp, and she loved it, and she got a job right away. So she did the Flatiron School boot camp. So I think boot camps can be really helpful, but you got to make sure you're going to a good boot camp. So do your research first, and probably like check out where the people are working that have gone through that boot camp, right? Because that's the proof of whether or not the boot camp is going to get you ready for a job. Like, have people already gone through this boot camp and gotten jobs? And don't just look at what the boot camp says. Like, look at their people who've actually gone to the boot camp. And like maybe try to reach out to them on Twitter or something and say like, hey, you did this boot camp. Like, what did you think of it? JMO Vlog says, where's the best place to find conferences, talks, networking opportunities? Let's see. You can, so this might be a weird way to look for conferences, but if you go to papercall.io, you can search for conferences and events, and you could search by keywords. So you could type in like JavaScript or React, and you could find a bunch of conferences and events. I think it's just tech conferences that they have on there. So that might not be a bad way to check it out. Andre says, I'm assuming this is the question, is do I really need to use Redux in all React projects? You definitely don't need Redux in all your React projects. So I rarely use Redux in my React projects. I only use Redux if it gets to the point where it's really, the state management starts to get very complex, and I feel like it could be helpful to use Redux. Let's see. Zeno says, for half hour I just listened and watched a lot of nothing. Yeah, at the end of the stream we just do question and answer. So, yeah. So if the coding is the first part of the stream, second part is question and answer. Cyberworld asks too, when do you start your coding? Coding is the first, so like we're done with coding at this point. So, Mulik says, can you tell me the learning curve to be a front end dev? For example, HTML, CSS, JS, likewise. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to explain the learning curve, I guess, but yeah, like that's the way you'd want to go, right? Like if you want to be a front end developer, start with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then maybe check out some sort of framework. Like once you learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I would like start building stuff. Don't wait to actually build stuff, and then you'll start to get a feel for like, oh, you know, I'm doing this thing over and over again. Maybe there's some library that does it for me, right? That's kind of like you'll kind of naturally need to branch out or want to branch out and learn other libraries and things. Okay. Yeah, Zeno. So I'm not gonna code anymore for this stream. So like for the first hour we code, and then after that we do question and answer. All right. Last question, and then we'll be done. It says, why React and not Vue? I work with React. I know React. I don't know Vue. I mean, that's really it. Like, so I work with React at my job, and I've been working with React for a while. So that's what I'm good with. So that's what I'm going to work with. Vue's a good framework as well. I haven't done anything with it, but I've heard good things about it. But yeah, that's why we're doing React stuff. You wouldn't want to watch me do a Vue stream because I'm no good with Vue. I don't know anything about it. All right. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try to stream more regularly now and get back into it. And yeah, so I'm trying to think, what is today? Friday? Yeah, so have a great weekend. Hopefully I'll stream again next week. And yeah, if you want... I don't know if I have this up on GitHub yet or not. I was going to say, if anybody wants to try to like load this and work on these bugs, feel free. But I'm not sure if I have this up on GitHub. If I do have it up on GitHub, the link will be in the description. If not, I'll try to get it up there and throw the link in the description at some point soon. So anyway, until next time, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching.